weeks ago, Scott Cruther sent an email to the soon-to-be retirees inviting us to participate in what is known as a last lecture. I thought, well, why not? As I give this lecture, I'll be looking at notes on my computer screen, and I will tell you I decided to call my last lecture Reflections of a Student, and that student would be me. 40 years ago, I made the decision to pursue a career in nursing and began that journey here at Kaskaskia College. I visited campus and talked with several people before completing an application. I remember the people who worked in admissions, the staff who were in the bookstore, and the people who worked in what was then called the cafeteria. Everyone seemed friendly and helpful. I was very young and overwhelmed, so it helped that these first experiences were positive. I credit KC with giving me a great start in my career. I was not only able to start work as a well-prepared registered nurse, but had the necessary skills to transfer to a university setting. I was taught by some of the best. From the people who taught anatomy and physiology to English, speech, and math, and of course the nursing faculty. All of these people made such an impression. I've thought about what it was that so impressed me with the faculty, and I have identified what I'm going to call the 3 Ps, describing characteristics of people who influenced me in my journey as a student many years ago. The 3 Ps are passion, personality, and presentation. Those who were most inspiring, and believe me, there were many, really had an obvious passion for their subject. And they had an art for making their classes both interesting and challenging. Those who I admired the most fully connected with students in the classroom with their unique personalities. They combined their passion, their personality, and they did this to create a style of presentation that not only grabbed the attention of their students, but made lasting impressions, at least in my mind. I remember walking into anatomy class one afternoon and seeing the most elaborate drawing that took up an entire chalkboard, depicting some aspect of human physiology. I think the instructor used every color of chalk available to him. At any rate, it was amazing, and most of the hour he spent walking back and forth, pointing out biological processes in his drawing. All of this, of course, was prior to PowerPoint and certainly prior to remote learning. I also recall microbiology. The instructor was extremely strict, and he had a reputation of being quite cranky. He certainly had an interesting style, uniquely his own. Looking back, it was actually a favorite class. English was also memorable, although not my favorite subject. I'm more of a science person. But the instructor somehow found a way to make the pitfalls of run-on sentences, comma splicing, and subject-verb agreement interesting. And then there was the psychology professor who stood on his desk in total silence on the first day of class just to get our attention. The nursing faculty, of course, were outstanding, and to this day I still recall topics discussed in the classrooms and experiences I had in clinical. The classes were difficult, and the rules of the program were very strict. Some faculty could be perceived as being intimidating. I recall one in particular who had a military background. She set the bar very high, and in clinical she ran what I would call a very tight ship. She had a wealth of knowledge, and we all learned so much from her. After graduating and working as a nurse, I soon came to realize why the standards of the program needed to be as they were. Although the nursing faculty were at times a bit intimidating, they were always professional, and they treated the students fairly. During finals week of spring of either 1982 or 83, a tornado hit New Baden. A student and his family survived but lost their home. I remember the nursing faculty doing whatever it took to work with this student so he could complete his final exams and graduate. I could tell more stories, but I won't. The takeaway is the people, their talent, and their dedication. Fast forward about 8 years after graduating from the nursing program, I was asked if I would be interested in teaching part-time. I was more than happy to accept the offer. I eventually accepted a full-time position and will retire officially the end of May. Teaching nursing at KC has provided me the opportunity to give back, although I never really felt I did justice to those who passed it on to me. The college has a multitude of resources available to their students, but in my opinion, the most valuable of those resources are its people and their talent and their dedication. It's been quite a journey.